lot of Western gender stuff, most of what's shitty about it isn't the fact that it exists, it's shitty because it's what everyone's forced to go by. Someone I respect a lot has been talking recently about the cis and trans kind of binary and how that's still a binary, and how there's a lot of people of color who don't fit into either box because these are white boxes. These are boxes that are being cis means that you are this gender and that you have been assigned that at birth. But what about people for whom, the medical complex assigns them the wrong gender because of its inherent racism or because of other bullshit? Or what about people for whom, being a brown woman, being any sort of being cis is about being the same, living within society's idea of what a man or a woman is. And that box is white womanhood, that box is white manhood. And race is really, really gendered. A lot of Asian people are, Asian men are considered effeminate by comparison to white men because white maleness is the standard of maleness. And black women are considered masculine, dangerous, threatening because they don't fit the standard of vulnerability that white womanhood is about. Even, cis, and this is part of why I'm so wary about using the word cis to describe people of color, even cis, Indian womanhood or whatever, is something that has been drastically shaped by how the British colonized India and the ways in which their legislation and treatment of the Indian people, fuck things up for them. There is no way that our understanding of gender isn't informed by white supremacy in today's world. I identify as a femme trans person, but in a lot of circles, in a lot of local trans circles, I'm treated as if I'm very masc, and a lot of that is to do with how brown I am. And it's people who dress like me, who present like me, who behave like me, who are white tend to be read, as invariably femme, but because I'm brown, I'm masc. And the word trans, for example, the idea of people being trans or not being trans or being cis, that's a Western thing. Transness is a white concept, but if I don't identify myself as trans, then I don't get access to, support for gender diverse people. I don't get access to funding. I don't get access to any way to say, hey, maybe I'm marginalized in the same way that trans people are, if not more. Because, I have to use that word, otherwise I don't get recognized as someone who has a gender at all. And the best we can do is try to move forward from what we've lost. Try to be kind to ourselves, because we do operate under white supremacy and we have to keep ourselves safe under white supremacy. But we need to try to find ourselves as well, otherwise we just, we're drifting around in a world that wasn't made for us and we don't have anything but each other. It's a really important thing, and I think one of the reasons it's important is because the entire world is saying, no, you're being too sensitive, that's not racism, this is how the world's supposed to be, what do you mean, gender is bullshit, this is how things are supposed to be, and everything you are, and everything you want to be, and everything you feel like you can be goes against that. And community is important just purely on the level of being able to say to each other, hey, maybe we're mentally ill, but we're not crazy in the sense that they think we are, We're in this together, and what we have is real, and we don't have to let them take it from us just because everyone's telling us that it isn't. How do you find community? I mean, a lot of us don't have it. A lot of us are really, really lucky to have what we have. I stumbled into the community that I have now entirely on accident, and I'm very fortunate that that's been the case, and I work really hard on reaching out to people where I can. But I think a lot of access to community is because community for people like us is centered around decolonization, centered around working out what we can undo and what we can do to survive. It's often goes over the heads of people who don't have as much access to academia, because the words we've been taught to explain our experiences are words that come from, rich white people, from schools that not all of us have access to, that very little of us have access to, and a lot of the work we have to do in finding community is the responsibility of people like me who have access to higher education to make things as accessible as we can to the people who don't. And